because our timing's off.
Not just because we're young. I would add that the job market today is very different from what it was 40 or 50 years ago. So in the past, the way you work, the way houses are funded, and the economy in general were all aligned towards creating wealth for people. So, I would have a job. I knew that I could stay with the same company for 30, 40 years, which meant that I could take a mortgage for 30, 40 years.
And if they relocated you, they would buy your house.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't exist.
And also, I was living in a country in the U.S. in the 50s, 60s, where the economy is growing pretty fast, where population is growing pretty fast, where cars determine where people live, and kind of the next 30 years look pretty clear. Today, when you look ahead, you have no idea where you're going to work in 5 or 10 years. The economy is growing very, very slowly. Interest rates are currently not very clear where they're going. And the way people live is about to be transformed by self-driving cars and drones and all sorts of things. And we have no idea where people will actually want to live or not want to live. But today where they want to live is in cities that are very expensive. And most millennials cannot afford to buy here. So they can afford to buy somewhere else. But that somewhere else is probably not the best place to invest 100% of your net worth in. I agree that, there are psychological barriers, but psychological barriers are often very rational. We're psychologically afraid of fire. It doesn't mean that we should jump into it.
But we need fire for cooking, right?
So, the great financial crisis made people scared because they should be scared, because the world today is much less predictable than it once was. And, again, the employment market is less stable. Financial markets are less stable. So I wouldn't put my net worth all of it into anything, regardless if it's a home or something else. So if you can afford to diversify, and the home that you buy for yourself is maybe 20% of all your net worth, and you do something else with the rest, wonderful. But most people can't afford that, so they probably should park most of their money in other things. So I currently don't, but I have other real estate investments that I'm excited.
Okay, so you're the opposite of what Jackie's saying. You own other real estate, but actually don't own the place that you live in.
Because they're better investments. I live in New York, where based on the cap rates, based on the return, it just doesn't make sense for me to buy the place that I want to live in, but it makes sense for me to invest in other places where I get a better return for my money while I sleep.
Well, what a crazy world we live in. Thank you very much for the spirited discussion, guys. And